It's a difficult day. We continue to follow breaking news out of Uvalde County, about 80 miles west of San Antonio. Governor Greg Abbott has confirmed 14 children are dead in an elementary school shooting. Good afternoon. I'm Karen Borda.
And I'm Doug Dunbar. Clearly, we're just coming out of about 45 minutes or so of coverage from CBS News regarding the elementary school shooting in Southwest Texas. We're on top of it any minute now. Candidly, police are expected to give an update on the shooting that occurred at Robb Elementary School, small town of Uvalde, about 85 miles or so just west of San Antonio. Give you a quick live look from right outside the school. At the same time, I want to share, so not live video when we get to it, but what you've likely seen if you've been on social media, and what you did not hear, interestingly enough, in the press conference a few minutes ago in CBS News coverage, was that Governor Greg Abbott says he confirms that 14 students and a teacher were killed in that shooting earlier today. He says the shooter was an 18-year-old who happened to live in Uvalde. The governor also says it is believed he was shot and killed by police. He, Karen, been identified Salvador Ramos, correct? Mm-hmm. Reports of the shooting came in just before noon, actually, today, 11:32, according to the officer who spoke. Let me play for you now what the governor said within the last 45 minutes.
The shooter was Salvador Ramos, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Ramos, the shooter, he himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him.
Again, we have seen one update. It was very, very brief, and it didn't dive into a whole lot of detail from police in the district. We are expecting another update at some point from police in Uvalde. We're hoping that sooner than later. Clearly, we're on top of this. Clearly, the moment anything like that occurs, we're going to get right back to it. But for the moment, please know that we're on top of the story. Hearts are heavy everywhere, and that includes here.
Right.
A short time ago, Governor Greg Abbott confirming the number we sadly reported on earlier. 14 children, he confirmed, have been killed in this shooting, along with a teacher at Robb Elementary School in the Uvalde district there. The alleged gunman is also dead, and we have just received an image of that gunman, 18 years old. Our investigative reporter, Aaron Kotursky, with me now. Aaron, what more do we know about this suspect who is now dead, believed to be a member of that community and that school district?
Indeed, David. He's identified by the governor of Texas as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, a student at Uvalde High School, and he is believed to have shot and killed his grandmother before entering Robb Elementary School and opening fire with a firearm that has not yet been made clear, according to police. They're still trying to track down the weapon. Shot and killed 14 elementary school students along with one teacher. And law enforcement sources tell us, David, that the suspect, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos himself, was killed there at the scene.
And Aaron, again, Salvador Ramos believed to be a student in that district.
A student in the very community where he opened fire, it's believed, according to police, a student at Uvalde High School. Whether he was still going to classes or whether he had stopped going hasn't been made clear, but according to the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, Salvador Ramos is or was a student at Uvalde High School, the very community where Robb Elementary School is located, that came under fire by this gunman after he had shot and killed his grandmother. Authorities are now trying to go through his background to see what connection he may have had to that elementary school. They're also trying to run down social media and find any potential friends or acquaintances just to see if there were any accomplices or anyone else who may have had an inkling that this shooting was about to come, David.
Hello. That might be what they're doing closer to the school. We are behind the police line right now at Robb Elementary.
We now know that is because they had discovered the bodies, additional bodies inside the school. And then we saw school bus after school bus leaving with these second, third, and fourth grade students being evacuated over to the Civic Center. And just a few minutes ago, we saw one of those children. Children are still being picked up from that location.
And we do know 2 people are clinging for their life at University Hospital in San Antonio. We have a 66-year-old woman who's in critical condition and a 10-year-old girl who's also in critical condition. But we want to get back to the Civic Center. We have Victoria De Leon there live. She's been speaking with families who are going to pick up their children. Victoria, I can't even imagine what those parents are going through.
Yeah, Audrey, during that press conference not too long ago, you heard officials saying that parents are still being notified, and that's probably going to be the case for the rest of the day. Here, there have been several parents who have walked into that Civic Center and then had to come back out without their children. There were 2 women here who were waiting here for the past 2 or 3 hours, waiting for their family friend's daughter, who that family has just kind of split up and is looking all over the place for their child. So it is just absolutely heartbreaking here. And again, this Robb Elementary School from 2nd to 4th grade, so some of those youngest kids only 9, 10 years old. We've been here since about 3 p.m. I've seen a handful of people walk out with their children, obviously very devastated, tears running down their faces, many of them holding them very tight, as I'm sure lots of parents and family members are going to be doing for the rest of this day. We're going to be out here for the next couple of hours trying to talk to some more families to get a little bit more insight about what this day has been like. Absolutely devastating. We are, though, being respectful of them during this very difficult time. These stories are going to be coming out over the next few days, weeks, probably even months. So first and foremost, we are going to absolutely respect them and give them their space as they are grieving through something so devastating.
Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Yes, it's just impossible to even comprehend. We have been notified by CBS that President Biden has been told about this tragedy, and he plans to speak this evening when he returns to the White House.
Yes, and earlier today we were speaking about 2 people who are at University Hospital. They were transported to San Antonio, a 66-year-old woman and a 10-year-old girl. There were 2 pending transports, and Henry Ramos did say that he did see a lifelight leaving Uvalde Memorial Hospital, where a lot of those victims were taken. We haven't confirmed whether they have been transported to San Antonio or a neighboring area, but we do know that DPS has taken over that investigation. We know the FBI is there, as well as San Antonio Police, BCSO, but a number of neighboring law enforcement, Hondo, Batesville, Bracketville, all of these neighboring law enforcement agencies have been there all day assisting. Other campuses were released today at regular time, and those parents probably did see some of those law enforcement officers who were just there to ease the minds and hearts of some of those parents at other campuses. But the kids who were there at Robb Elementary School, they were being picked up from that Civic Center. After, and like you just heard from Victoria, a lot of those parents stressed out. They're still looking for their children, still being picked up at 5 o'clock, and this all began around 11:32 this afternoon at Robb Elementary.
And you are looking live right now at Robb Elementary, where this large truck has just pulled up. The Bexar County medical examiner has just arrived on the scene in the past 15 minutes. And that appears to be a refrigerated morgue truck. And we are hearing from people. We also have heard from BAMC. That's one of the 2 #1 trauma centers here in San Antonio, the other one being University Health. BAMC says we have received 2 adults from the tragic shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas. We don't have conditions to release at this time. So that is a total of 3 adults that we know who are hospitalized, 2 at BAMC, 1 at University Health. 13 children hospitalized at Uvalde, and also 1 child, a 10-year-old, hospitalized here at University Health.
It's a tragic day, a dark day over Uvalde today, and it's going to be a long couple of days because this investigation, we don't know a lot. We do know that the suspect, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, he was a local there in Uvalde. We learned from Pete Arredondo, the UCISD police chief, that they believe he did act alone, and he was killed by police, responding officers to that active shooter situation that we've learned. A deadly situation. 14 students killed, 1 teacher dead.